Real Frank.
Hello, welcome to Real Frank Movie Reviews. Oh, ladies! Oh, what a crowd tonight! Oh, yes! Calm down, ladies. Ladies, yes, another episode. Another episode of Real Frank. We got a treat for you today. A special person reached out to me about a screening of their personal movie they made. Came out in 2020. It's called Panda. It's about a local rapper's world is upended upon the sudden death of his girlfriend. To make matters worse, he's hanging out with a panda bear. Now, this gentleman wrote and directed this movie. His name is Evan Kidd. He reached out to me through our email through the channel and asked if I would review it. I responded, absolutely, would love to, and thanks for the opportunity, but you had to be okay whether it was good or bad. And he was okay with it. So I thought, wow, that's pretty sweet. So here we go. It's called Panda Barrett. It's available on Amazon Prime and also on Tubi. My special guest to help review this movie is my very good friend, Damon. Welcome to the show, Damon. Okay. It's great. It's great. Beautiful. This crowd's been pumped up for you today.
I heard that crowd. The crowd seemed to stop when I got on. I was waiting to hear the roar.
Oh, it happens sometimes. They're picky. It's a tough crowd. But Panda Barrett, you watched it. I watched it. I'm glad you were able to watch this. So let's talk about the story. What did you think of the story?
It was a very deep movie. I told you I watched it twice, right? So the first time I had a couple beers and just kind of preliminary run, see what I'm dealing with. I told you I was like, oof, that was it was only an hour, so
yeah.
that was good. And then I let it sit for a little bit, and I was like, I gotta watch it again because it's a much deeper movie if you really start digging into it. It's very, very symbolic. So I think from a story point of view, it's a deep movie if you really follow all the different. There's a lot of symbolism in the movie, right? And if you follow each thing that he drops in there, it goes pretty deep. And then at the end, I was like, wow, it's really super depressing. But then, there's a bright side that I'm sure we'll get into. So I think overall, it was a good story. If you watch it on the surface, like that first time I did and had a couple of beers, you're just gonna go, woo! Thanks a lot for wasting an hour. But if you really sat down to understand it, it had a deeper meaning for sure.
Yeah, I mean, the story was not bad at all. But the thing that was hard to get by with the story, you had to watch it twice. And I think part of the reason you probably maybe had to watch it twice because the acting is just horrendous, right? For me, the acting was so bad that I had trouble focusing, right? There was a couple scenes where the girl that owns the coffee shop, it didn't even feel I don't know what happened. The way she talked and everything was not believable. It's like they gave her the script and she just read the script and then just spit out the lines. It was like me acting. That would be me acting. That's how that girl acted. And those scenes would take me out of it, and then I have to refocus to get focused back in it.
So I'm not going to disagree with you there. I think the guy that played Candace he did a pretty good job, the main actor. I felt like he's not going to break down Hollywood's door, but I think of the whole movie,
right.
He did the best. I mean, this guy probably had a very small budget, and he probably asked all his friends, come help me out, I'm making a movie. So I like I told you, that first run through, those kinds of things really stood out and made it painful. The second time through, though, I really ignored it and just focused on the story, and it made it much better.
All right,
so I'll give him that.
Since you watched it a second time, I only watched it once. I only had time for one time. But you watched the second time. Can you explain to me the scene where he's camping, right? And then those three people come out, and they're taking his stuff. Can you explain to me what that all was supposed to mean? Because that was pretty crazy.
I can. You just want to jump right in. You don't want to go from like the beginning and break it down. You just want to jump right into that.
Sure, I do, because that's the part that bothered me the most in this movie. I was annoyed and irritated, and I wanted to know what this scene meant because I couldn't figure it out.
So the whole movie, I mean, you have to take it all into perspective, and then that's the part where the first time I watched it, I was like, what the hell? Yeah. Like, who? I even like the first time I didn't take notes or anything, but I was like, I need to write that down because like, what the hell was that? So I think you have to look at, and I'm going to go deep on this. It's he's really struggling, right? And the whole movie is about him getting over the loss of his girlfriend, right? And so you have to realize the part where he's at when he meets those people, right? Just out of the blue, here's some hillbillies out in the sticks kind of thing, right? But how did he get there? And I think that's the important part. He's on his journey and he's trying to find himself. And those three different people, and this is my interpretation, I don't know if this is true or not. Those three people are manifestations of himself, right? So you have Irma, she's like the stubborn himself, like that's his front, right? That's the stubbornness of him not showing his emotions, leading this crazy posse that he has. You have the guy who had the blood on his shirt.
Yeah.
That's his heart was ripped out, right? That's his pain.
Oh.
That's his agony. You have the guy with the holes in his clothes.
Yes.
Right? And he's hiding. So
yes.
that's his, like, that's him hiding behind his pain, right? And and so if you want to go into that, I thought we were going to lead into it, but that part there, because the whole movie they talk about and they start poking fun at him and they say something like, are you a caterpillar or are you a butterfly?
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And so this part of his journey, he's in his cocoon. So this, at his point, he's walking to the woods with Panda, right? And Panda's walking behind him and she's kind of falling behind, but he goes and helps her. He's starting to come to grips with what happened, right? He's digging in, he's starting to own it. Right before he just eating his cheese balls. And by the way, I don't really understand what those cheese puffs represent, but the way he tried to eat them and the way Panda was just throwing them in their face, that cracked me up. I didn't understand that. But that part, he's in his cocoon. He's starting to, and he disappears for 3 days, right? That's him getting grips with himself, and he's in his cocoon. This is make or break. Either he's going to turn into a butterfly or he's going to die.
So is that really happening, or is that in his head?
No, I think this part is when he is on the road trip, I think he's there, he's on the road trip, he's going and doing something, but then I think between those three people and the farmer, I think that is him in the cocoon, and the farmer is the one who like wakes him up. Yeah. The gunshots.
The gunshots, right.
He runs. And he says, he goes, I'm running for my life. But he goes, and then there you are again. You pop up, right? And so that's him. He's and the way there when he was driving in the car, right? And he's arguing and he kicks her out. That's his way of, okay, I'm done with you. I'm pushing you away. But he can't escape her, right? And so that's part of the farmer wakes him up. And then he fell for his life. And then he's like, oh, there you are again. I can't escape you. And now he's gonna
so the Panda
embrace it, and that's what the hot soup is, right? The hot soup is him embracing it. Like he felt her warm touch because he's now starting to acknowledge that she's gone.
So is
right?
Panda? Does the Panda represent her?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I figured we'd get to this a little bit. The title of the movie, right? So like, I'm curious. What is your take on Panda Barrett? Like, what do you think that means?
Well, honestly, without seeing the movie and I read the title, I just thought it was just a way to deal with something without seeing the movie, like Panda Barrett. Like, I thought it'd be like, Panda Barrett, like, fuck her, fuck you, Panda Barrett. Like, that's what I thought initially. But watching it, I just think it means now deal with it. Panda Barrett, deal with it.
Yeah, I think that was it, right? He couldn't bear it in the beginning, and the panda was her, right? Because the keychain, right? That keychain represented her, so I don't know, maybe that was a nickname or something. So yeah, Panda Barrett was that he just couldn't deal with it. He couldn't bear it, and that was the whole beginning of the movie. And I have to say, from a CGI standpoint, they really crushed it with the panda. Really went out with the
especially
Yeah.
especially with the glove hands, the hands on the gloves in the scene. Like,
Right?
yeah.
And just that was so the funniest thing.
That was actually my favorite part in the movie was the panda suit and the panda walking around in the panda suit. That was my favorite. I loved that part.
I love the like the invisible make believe friend, like the shows like Happy. He has the very tough thing. I enjoy. I get a kick out of that stuff. But it was funny when her hands come out like that and they have gloves.
The gloves hands.
It's like, yeah, I was like, oh, this is high budget. This is big budget. But again, you gotta look past the budget. It's the story, right? It's all about the story.
It's all about the story. But let's go back to another scene that I was confused about. I kind of felt was shoehorned, but maybe it's not because you obviously have a connection to this movie. At least you understood it. The scene where he's at the rest stop and the guy comes up and wants some of his chips, and the panda's like, you would have given him the chips or drove him over to the other side of the freeway to get the chips. I mean, it just came out of nowhere, and it was short, and then the whole thing was over, and then they're in the car again. I didn't understand that scene. So what do you think that scene meant?
I think so. That's him on his journey, right, to where he's going. He had just gotten into a fight with Panda and kicked her out.
Right.
And so now he's sitting on this bench. And something with the snacks, I mean, I'm not that deep of a guy, so I really don't understand the cheese puffs and the different chips.
Because that's all they ate.
I guess it's little pieces of things, maybe, like taking a little bite of something. But I think that guy represented his conscience, right? That's because he said, oh, I got to take a load off. It's so heavy.
Right.
So that was the baggage.
Yeah.
And his music.
Ah.
His music. So
You're right.
It was holding his music back. Right?
That's what it is.
Out of his head.
That's what it was. You're so right. Yeah, because the whole baggage thing, like all these characters represent something in him, and that's what exactly. You're so smart. Look at you. Wow, you're the perfect guest for this one. Look at this.
Two movies, you gotta watch it twice. And because the first time I was like, this guy, wow. I was like, A, he's not a very good actor, and B, like, how does this fit? But then, and so then I think he gets into his head, right, and that's his conscious, and then he's going, and he turns around, and he goes picks up Panda.
Right.
Because he finally realized at that point, I can't outrun her. I have to embrace it, and that's his journey, and that's where he starts to go into his cocoon.
Wow. So then the farmer guy that shoots a shotgun, he's the one that kind of brings it all together. So what did he represent? Like the kick in the butt type of thing character?
Yeah, it's a bit of that, regret.
Yeah.
Right? So the farmer talks about regret and about his father was dying and he never went hunting with him, but then he tried when it was too late, and now he has nothing but regret. And so now Camus he could lose his music career, right? Because he's so full of regret, and they don't really talk about how she died, which was interesting. I don't know if maybe it was a suicide. I don't know, because she just died suddenly. It was on her birthday. Though there was part of it, and then this at the end, I think Camus finally realized it wasn't his fault. The farmer let him know, this you have nothing to do with it, and then he thanks him, because that was like that was an interesting scene, because Panda's in the house, right behind the glass door, so you can see her, and she's rooting him on from a distance. He has her there, but not the whole movie
by her side.
Yeah. Him, but now she's kind of in the background, and she's cheering him on, like you're gonna do it. It's all about that book. The book he has, right? His feelings are in that book.
Yeah.
He writes it down. That's what she says. Write it down. He's putting his feelings in there, but he keeps it closed, right? And now this is him finally opening it up, and now he's embracing it. And then that's when Panda does the old 2-finger salute.
Right. That's
it. You did it, man. And that's when he becomes the butterfly.
So what?
That's the moment he becomes the butterfly.
So is the farmer real?
No, I don't think the farmer's real. So the interesting part, when the farmer talks about the cows, and he said he brings them out to pasture, and he says you're gonna that's where the cows did their business, and he's like you ended up avoiding a cow pie in the face. And what's important there is that the lyrics of the song at the end, I don't know, did you listen to the song at the end?
No. I mean, I like the music, but I didn't. I never listen to the lyrics when I listen to music anyway.
So all the lyrics tie into the movie, right? And so that you're not alone, right? I mean, that's the whole theme of the movie. He thinks he's alone, but the whole time he has people telling him he's not alone. And it's the whole history or his story. That was a bit much. But the important lyrics in the song are you a butterfly or a caterpillar? Fly away from the bullshit. Right? So that scene when he was there and he's with his agony and he's in turmoil, right? And that's when the farmer comes and gets him out of it. And he says, and he gives him the hand, right?
Yeah.
And he pulls him out of it. He
pulls him out of the bullshit.
That turmoil.
They have that bullshit.
And dismay, right?
Yeah.
And so that was part of the lyrics of the song.
Wow, look at that.
I told you it's deep, man. You had to dig in. You had to go all in.
That's pretty crazy, man. Wow, who knew? So the story, after going through it with you, kind of changes my perception of it now, you know? Is it because you were able to watch it through and then you finally figured out that girlfriend died and then, because going through it initially, you don't know that, right?
Oh, no, I knew from the beginning she died.
You knew?
Yeah, because he had, I read what the movie was about. So he knew she was dead. And he had her scarf, right? And that scarf. And that was important, too, because he held that scarf the whole time. That was a big part. And then he had it around his music. So she was probably his biggest proponent on singing. And without her there, I think that was a big void in him. He didn't know what to do. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a ton more. I told you I took 4 pages of notes. Like, there's all these little things throughout the entire movie that if you if you dig into it and you look back, you'll say, oh, that's what that means. That's what. I still don't understand what the cheese puffs. So she did leave the cheese puffs trail. So the only thing I can think of is like he was kind of corny. He was a cheese ball. That was the part that she loved about him.
You think that?
He was a jokester. You know, they always had a good time. And then he lost that, and that's why she kept saying, I'm hungry. Right?
Oh yeah, because she kept saying hungry. It's interesting you keep saying that because in the movie they only eat like chips, cheese balls. That was basically all they ate, except for the soup that he spills, right? And then the cup of tea when the little girl comes in, bumps them, drops the hot water. But other than that, that's all the food you ever saw.
I think it was a little boy.
Little boy.
His cousin.
Yeah.
He had a lot of hair,
yeah.
Which we don't know anything about.
Right.
He had a ton of hair. Beautiful head of hair on that kid.
But yeah, maybe that has something to do. It was really weird, the food choices. So you're probably right, because since every little piece of this was well thought out from a story perspective, the food probably has something to do. Like maybe the cheese ball thing. I think you're onto something. Who knew you're so deep? I have never met this side of you. It's amazing. Like, I've known you all these years. It's ridiculous. I can remember the first text I got from you after you watched this movie is, what the hell? What the hell am I watching?
You watch on the surface, it was the acting, like you said. The acting
what the hell I watched? And then you watch it again, and you've done you completely changed. Like you've understood it now.
I dug in.
You dug in.
I went all in on it. This is my debut,
all
so I had to go
in.
But hey, on the food part, the antelope soup, right? That was. I'm not 100% sure what an antelope symbolizes, except for maybe just antelopes are swift and nimble. So that was him trying to always escape and run away. And then they ate it. Like that was the deal with it. And then there was a moon pie. I don't know if you noticed that on the table.
I did.
There was a moon pie.
Yeah.
And that could have been by accident. You don't people don't have moon pies laying around. I think that was like him shooting for the moon. Like that's the his story kind of thing, going for history. And then like the farmer putting the hot sauce, like gotta spice it up a little bit. Like you need something here. That might be stretching. I don't know.
Maybe. Wow. You. Look at you. Who knew? Amazing. All right. So the story ended up being pretty good after this discussion. My opinions changed of the story after getting some stuff sorted out. What about the acting? How would you feel about the acting here?
No, I told you I agree with you. I think the guy who played Candace was the only one who was, and the farmer he was a pretty good actor too. But again, the bar was pretty low. But yeah, like I told you the first time I watched it, I mean, I'm not an actor. This is about as good as you're gonna get. So who am I to say? Sure. But I'm also not in movies. So right. There we go.
Exactly. But I'd say the farmer was the best actor in the movie. That's my opinion.
I mean, the Panda did a hell of a job. I mean, squeaking in for the voice, I didn't really understand that part. I'm not sure what the symbolism. Maybe just in the back of the head.
Maybe voices.
Really hear them. Like nobody else hears them.
Right. Or maybe it's just his voice that he keeps hearing her voice in the back of his head. Maybe.
It could be.
All right, and then the cinematography. How did you think the way it was shot, the filming, the background, the camera movement?
Well, I mean, it was low budget. There's a lot of like cutting into things. There was some weirdness. Like I didn't understand the parking lot and the light flashing on him kind of thing, and that kept going in and out. It was kind of juddery.
Oh, the space little dots.
Probably recorded on his phone, probably, maybe. So again, a low budget movie. I'm not gonna kill him on it. Yeah. On a scale, it was probably a 3.
3. But yeah, I give him credit because I did see an attempt in cinematography. There were certain scenes when he's driving, like looking around in the backgrounds and the trees. When he's laying out in the field, he's got a camera angle of the sun and the trees in that angle. The only thing I was confused on, there were some scenes where it was a little shaky, the camera. Like, I didn't know if that was intentional or was... And we're back live. Camera battery died. Live. That's what happens on live TV. It happens. Oh! I know, right? Who's the bad guy? I'm the bad guy now? Oh, technology issues. Come on. It's not nice. Don't worry about it. I apologize. All right, so let's continue. So we're talking about the cinematography. We're talking about the shakiness of the camera. You think it was intentional, or do you think it was just his equipment? It wasn't in all scenes. I just noted it was in specific scenes that was more noticeable than other parts. I mean, what was your take on that? Did you notice the shakiness of the camera?
The only time that I can think about it, the judderiness was, I think, intentional. That was just him, kind of flipping out kind of thing. Mm-hmm. I don't really recall enough of it that it bothered me.
Okay.
Like I said, it was pretty low res.
But it was low res, but I mean, I still didn't think it was shot that bad. Like from the...
No, it wasn't terrible.
From the video...
if we're talking about acting and...
No, right.
Cinematography.
But the only thing that I did find disturbing to me was the audio. Did you notice like some of the scenes were hard to hear, or some of the people were hard to hear in some scenes versus other scenes?
No, I don't.
No?
No, I take that back. So like a couple times, like the grandma and the little boy, like there were times that
you couldn't hear it very well.
I had to replay it because I'm like, is that something important?
Right, because you could.
Actually, when the kid was talking about the fairies or something, or I don't know what he was talking about. Something about a game, and he says, I was like, what is he? He's talking about the Game Boy game. I had no idea what he was saying.
Yeah. So I just felt a couple scenes like I couldn't hear the character that well, but I could hear the main character very well. I just felt maybe there was a sound issue or something. That was my 2 cents on that part. But yeah, I mean, all right. So you ready to score this thing? So what do you give story? 1 to 10?
End of the day, I think it was a good story. It was a guy who's fighting depression over his lost girlfriend, and a lot of trauma there for him. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll give the story a 6.
Wow, a 6. Nice. All right. Okay.
It was a deep story. I mean, there's a bunch of scenes in this movie.
All right, acting. What do you give acting?
I mean, that was tough, right? There was probably the farmer, the panda, and then Camus, and then everybody else, right?
Yeah.
It was tough. Kudos to them for trying. So I'm going to have to give that acting a 2.
A 2. All right. And then cinematography.
What would I think I already rated it. I gave it a 3, I believe.
A 3. All right. So, overall, what do you give it?
If it wasn't for the story, I would have gotten a much lower number. It was only an hour long. I have to give it a 4.
A 4. All right. For the story, I didn't quite understand it the first time around, but talking to you through the scenes, a lot of this stuff makes sense to me now. So originally I had a low story score, but after hashing it out for you, I give the story a 3.9. The acting, I just... yeah, man, that was tough. I would give the acting a 1.7. It was brutal. The chick that owned the coffee spot was just enraging. Made me so angry. Like, oh my god, it's me in TV. That's what it is. The cinematography, I actually thought there was a pretty decent attempt, and there was a couple scenes I did enjoy. I gave that a 3.5 for the cinematography, and there really wasn't any CGI unless you want to count the panda costume, but we'll let that off because there's really no CGI. Overall, I give this movie a 3.1. 3.1. So you give it a 4.0. I give it a 3.1. That's our review for Panda Barrett. Thanks for watching.